Okay, we have Ashwani, Mitesh, and Prakash joining us for that. Good afternoon, Ashwani. Weekday, especially for the Bank Nifty, which is now down about 3%. By the way, just the last 5-minute bar on the Nifty has been quite interesting. It's the recovery that it was trying, that's been sold into quite aggressively. But Ashwani, your thoughts on the index and your stock calls?
See, on the index, I don't think people are taking large bets on either side. Otherwise, on this sort of a day, you should have been down 150, 200. So basically, from yesterday's high, you saw a bit of rally. From today's low, a bit of decline. From today's low, you are seeing a bit of rally. So the follow through is not what you had in March, but overall the bias probably remains on the downside, and the market will go down but at a much slower rate, and you will get strong intraday pullbacks to sell into. So it'll be difficult to sell into the market once it breaks support or resistance, because we saw the kind of intraday moves it shows on the other side. But going into the close, my sense is this is a day trader market, and day trader has no courage to take positions over a long weekend. So maybe you'll close 15 to 20 points higher. That seems to be the sense. Overall, Reliance, Pharma, FMCG are on the upside. Banks, NBFCs are on the downside. So that is the right way of playing this sort of a market. So individual stocks would be, HUL, which is a buy with a stop of 1980. Look for targets of about 2040. BPCL is a buy with a stop of 310, target of 335. And Shriram Transport is a sell with a stop of 544, target of 510.
Okay, Shriram Transport is a sell. Well, financials are weak across the board. We will talk about that on the fundamentals as well. But first, let's get more trades in. Mitesh is also with us. Good afternoon, Mitesh. So what's it looking like last hour? What are you doing?
Sorry, good afternoon. So my sense is that, the market has kind of maintained the range in 90-20, 9,000 was held, and only if you break that, we're actually trading very close to that. We will see more declines, and possibly a test of 88.50, 88.30 zones could happen. For the time being, trading with more of stock-specific bias, and in that segment, I think, pharma is looking good, financials are looking weak, so I have a buy on Cipla with a stop at 612, targets of 650, and Equitas was a sell with a stop at 43.70 for targets of 36.
Okay, got that. Thanks, Mitesh, for those calls. Prakash Kaba also with us. Good afternoon, Prakash. So it's a down day on the index. Are you running any down trades as of now? And what about stocks?
Good afternoon to you, Surbi. Well, when I look at Nifty and Bank Nifty, I see Nifty going up for 4 days and Bank Nifty coming down for 4 or 5 days. There's a diversion out there. Why would Nifty go up without Bank Nifty? So structurally, when I look at the intraday charts, internally it tells me, though I may not have fallen, but I'm weak. It tells me clearly. So to my mind, Nifty and Bank Nifty both are weak. There should be no sign of strength. And if you get rallies, those are shorting opportunities. That's all. If you get gap down, then perhaps it tries to go up. But then you go up, get it exhausted, again sell. Get your setup and make money intraday. That's the way to deal with it. Otherwise, no point trading otherwise. I have two stocks, both on the short side. One is LIC Housing Finance. Very good chance we can see it slide to around 223 zones, stop about 245 should be fine. I also like M&M Financial on the shorting side. Possibly we'll see it slide to 120 zones, stop about 132.
Okay, we have SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com now joining us on the show, and Deepan Mehta as well. Good afternoon, Ms. Tulsian. First, your thoughts on financials. You've seen a big decline today in big names. Axis down 6%, Bajaj Finance is down 5%, broken 1900 today, ICICI, HDFC. Your thoughts?
See, Anuj, whenever the market expectations are not met, you see this kind of extreme behavior or extreme bias seen getting reflected here. Now, take the case of RBI meet outcome. Market was expecting that probably governor will announce the restructuring. Why I am not disappointed? Because a moratorium at this stage, you can only go for restructuring when you have the surety and certainty of the cash flow getting generated. A moratorium can be given extension on an ad hoc basis every 3 months, every couple of months, but you cannot go for one restructuring, second restructuring, third restructuring. In fact, I take this moratorium as a restructuring only because if the Reserve Bank would have allowed restructuring, take for hypothetically presume that, and if the lenders, whether banks and NBFCs, would have gone for restructuring with a short-term loan funded interest on working capital or funded interest on the EMIs along with the installments, and they would have capitalized that and would have given a time short-term duration of 12 months with monthly installment or quarterly installments thereafter. And if you would not have seen that even getting fulfilled, because still we do not have, we are groping in the dark. What will be the situation on FY21? Nobody knows. So in fact, RBI is taking extremely positive view and extremely rational move of allowing it to have it extension of moratorium for further 3 months. If the situation doesn't emerge even after 3 months, they will give further moratorium 3 months. So restructuring can only be done in case of certainty of the cash flow. Bank lenders must know that the borrowers will be able to honor the commitments, and then only. So I'm not disappointed with the moratorium having got extended and restructuring having not come in. Now coming specifically on the NBFCs, or since you have asked on the Bajaj Finance, if you see the fear, which I have been talking to a couple of market experts also, the Bajaj Finance has made a lot of lending on zero interest EMI. What does it mean? That they have lent the money to the borrower at the same cost. Take for instance, a product price was 1 lakh rupees, they finance entire 1 lakh rupees with 10 installments of 10,000 rupees each. Now what has happened, because they earned that commission on that 1 lakh rupees from the product manufacturer. Now here the default and moratorium is being given on this zero EMI product also, and they are saying that we will be now charging the interest on this moratorium period of 3 to 6 months. The more moratorium period is getting extended, it is seen very harsh and loss making for the zero EMI products, whether it has been given by Bajaj Finance or any other financiers. Number two, even if they are able to recover the money, they are focused more on the balance sheet preservation rather than credit growth. They are not seen going lending money. So you will be seeing the AUM getting reduced from 1,45,000 crore maybe to 120, 125. Difficult to take a call. In fact, this is the case with all NBFCs. But when you take a comparative valuation call, still the Bajaj Finance is ruling maybe at a price to book of 3.5 on the estimated book value of FY21 or FY22. While all other pedigree, we have been talking that this belongs to the pedigree. I agree that the pedigree NBFCs will not have the problem of sourcing the money. But take the case of M&M Finance and L&T Finance, just to give an example, they both are ruling at a price to book of maybe 0.5 to 0.6. Or maybe Cholamandalam Finance, Murugappa Group company who have been in the business, or Shriram Transport who have been in business, are even ruling at a price to book of 0.6, 0.7. So when you have the pedigree NBFCs or belonging from the reputed group having track record of performance seen available at price to book of 0.5, 0.26, I don't understand what is the valuation logic of price to book of 3.5 even for Bajaj Finance now. Thirdly, if you see the Bajaj Finance chart today, probably for the first time, because whenever we have seen the fall, the delivery volume was seen having exceeded 25 lakh shares. But if you see the chart now, already we have seen a delivery volume of about maybe 35 lakh shares. And that means the selling by HNI, second round of selling has started. People have started, have waited for a couple of days to digest the results, which was definitely seen to be very bad going ahead, not on Q4 per se. So I think that selling will come in, and the point which I have been saying, that the moment it will break 2,000 rupees level, which it has been holding on for about last two to 3 weeks, we'll see it settling, at a level of about 1,800, where one has to review again. So NBFCs are definitely not seen to be bad investment. In fact, I'm not disappointed with the moratorium, so as with the private sector bank. So whether you take a call on HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, we continue to have positive bias. We have been for last 3-4 months, we have been keeping the valuation caution on the Kotak Mahindra Bank seem to be quite expensive, and we continue to do so. But on the NBFC front, as we have said that we are taking positive call on the stocks like maybe Cholamandalam Investments, Shriram Transport, or maybe Mahindra & Mahindra Finance and L&T Finance. Because if the things are seen having given moratorium, they will be seen beneficial, and people, the NBFCs which are having the rural focus, predominantly all these 4 NBFCs are in tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 city presence. So they will stand to gain once the economy will start reviving. So I am not disappointed. In fact, one should use the opportunity for buying these stocks when they are down and available at a price to book of maybe 0.5 to 0.6 or 0.7 in case of these 4 NBFCs.
Okay, all right, Mr. Tulsian, thanks for that. Well, Deepan Mehta is also with us in the conversation this afternoon. So, Deepan, let me come to you specifically on Cipla. It's having a phenomenal move right now, and it's had a good week. It's had a good month, actually. Some great gains here on this stock. Now, pharma as a whole is getting the market's attention. But what's your ranking order, and where does Cipla fit in?
I think Cipla would rank very high in the order of pharmaceutical companies which may be considered for investment. Cipla had been a bit of a laggard as compared to some of its peer group, which were going in the US generic market quite aggressively a few years ago, and Cipla was kind of taking a back seat and had not developed their front end. But over the last 3-4 years, especially since the top management has changed, they have made great strides. And the best aspect of Cipla is that the regulatory management has been pretty good, notwithstanding what happened in the Goa unit, but by and large, they have been pretty good at managing the regulatory as far as FDA is concerned. And they have a very focused business plan going ahead, India, South Africa, and in US. And in the US, they are focusing on specialty products, high margin products, like the inhalers, where they are trying to get up a good position over there, strong position, and where there's limited competition. So considering the valuation, very positive on Cipla. I think from these levels, it could turn out to be a nice steady performer and a kind of a safe haven in markets like these where there's a great deal of uncertainty. And all that we can be sure of is that average consumer globally will spend more on healthcare and pharmaceuticals.
Okay, all right, Deepan. Well, stay on. We have more questions coming your way. We need to take a very quick break. With the news that the Bank Nifty is the big underperformer once again, down 2.8%. Nifty is nursing losses of 0.75%. Back in just a moment. And of course, a reminder, we also get our conversation going with the head of Equity Research India at Credit Suisse Wealth Management, Jitendra Govil, on the other side.